What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway here with AllSooners, and alongside by John Hoover, Ryan Chapman at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames. Oklahoma have a little bit of a win streak going. That's 2 in a row for the Sooners. They knock off the Cyclones on Saturday, 27-13. Defense shut down what we all talk about all week. It's a kind of a mediocre Iowa State offense. They did the job. Offense did enough to get the win, 27-13, 2 in a row for the Sooners. I mean, this is a pretty textbook, mostly pretty clean win. I mean, not a whole lot to complain about, I feel like, if you're Oklahoma.
Yeah, Brent Venables said out in the postgame that this is exactly how they would have scripted it or how they would have wanted it to go. Something along those lines was what he said. You knew it would be a field position battle because Iowa State plays such great defense and they play such sluggish offense. You knew you were going to need to play hard on defense and make sure they didn't get anything going. Iowa State actually did get a little something going. They what would you call it? They had more yards total offense than Oklahoma did, moving up and down the field. But Oklahoma had more points on the board because they got in the red zone, they kicked field goals, and they got a touchdown from their kicker.
Electric.
How special was that? You'd flip the field in the fourth quarter. Michael Turk kicks a couple of 60-yarders. One gets Oklahoma off its goal line. The next one pins Iowa State down on its goal line. That turns into a touchdown for the Oklahoma defense after a couple of interceptions. Danny Stutzman with his first career pick. This was sets up Eric Gray's touchdown run. 101 yards for Eric Gray. This was as close, I think, offense, defense, special teams, as we've seen this team play to what we call complementary football.
Yeah, and the offense, patient. They move the ball. Against this Iowa State defense, what kills you is turnovers and missed opportunities and penalties. Those are the three things that will kill you. Oklahoma took care of the football. Good on them. They did have a couple of penalties that really set them behind a holding here or there, mostly in the first half. The biggest black eye for the Oklahoma offense, if you want to call it that, is when Jeff Lebby got into those situations to take those shots on 1st and 10, it felt like Marvin Mims and Dylan Gabriel were 2 steps away on 3 different deep balls, honestly, from really busting this thing open. Those were the plays that really put Oklahoma's offense behind the 8 ball. But you saw a great self-awareness and a great adjustment from Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby to say, you can run your offense at a breakneck pace, but it is not necessary against this Iowa State offense, which you were kind to call it mediocre. They stink. The Iowa State offense, they can't block, they can't run the football, and Deckers is awful. So they basically, we noted at halftime, Oklahoma won the time of possession battle by a ton. It was 17 minutes and some change to 10 minutes and some change, essentially, for Oklahoma and Iowa State time of possession in the first half. They slowed things down, were methodical, were patient, and it paid dividends today at Jack Trice.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensively, at this point, Oklahoma can run the ball. I mean, we talk about that every single week.
They can run it against these guys. They can run it about just about anything.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Eric Gray, another huge game for him. And Dylan Gabriel, Brent Venables said he would have gave him an A today, said he was terrific. Didn't stuff the stat sheet by any means, but he did feel pretty efficient. Like Ryan said, they were really close on a couple of really big plays to Mims. He did hit Farouk on the 1 touchdown. He scrambled a little bit. Pretty good game, I would say, for Dylan Gabriel. Offensively, though, the run game and the offensive line are carrying it right now.
The run game, it's Dylan missed a couple of throws, but you also had a couple of drops. You also had some strange bubble screens to your tight end, which you don't see that much, getting your tight end in space one-on-one. And the passing game just looked a little dysfunctional today. It wasn't terrible by any means. I think Dylan was, 15 of 21 for 148 yards?
15 of 26.
15 of 26. So he was efficient for the most part. He had a real efficient first half. Things slowed down in the second half. But, they are at a point now where this offensive line has really gained confidence, and they're starting to run the football with confidence. And, they didn't have Javonte Barnes out here today. Brent Venables said he's got a little hamstring issue late in the week during practice, we presume. So, they did get Marcus Major back here today, and he wasn't a big, huge impact, but this as a whole, behind that offensive line, Eric Gray getting the football 20 times again today, that's a productive day.
Yeah, 3.9 yards per carry total. That includes all of the they got a team rush nailed against him for the kneel at the end of the half, which really careened the numbers in the first half. But the important thing, Eric Gray rushed for 5 yards a carry. That's after he spent, I think the Tulsa World's Eric Bailey tracked it, almost 30 minutes of real time in the injury tent, getting checked on, all that stuff, comes back in, is able to finish out the game. Obviously, Hoover, as you mentioned, with the direct snap touchdown, but 5 yards per carry on the ground for a not 100% Eric Gray against this defense. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, for Oklahoma defensively, like we said, Iowa State's offense, not great. They really can't run the ball at all, like Ryan was joking about on the podcast this week. Something's got to give. Oklahoma's run defense has been really bad. Iowa State's rush offense has been really bad. Oklahoma won that category. Iowa State couldn't run the ball at all. Hunter Deckers turns it over 3 times, 3 interceptions, including the one that really ended the game, essentially. Danny Stout's been putting in there for Eric Gray to punch it in. Defensively, again, they're going to face stiffer tests. The big problems, the really bad games were against much better offenses, but you did what you had to do. You shut down an Iowa State offense that's not very good. And, with the turnovers, good tackling today. Deshaun White was everywhere. Encouraging signs.
Yeah, Deshaun had, career high 14 tackles, I think. Stutzman was everywhere. The Oklahoma linebackers played pretty well today. I didn't think they were stressed. I didn't think Iowa State's offensive line is very good, obviously. They've shown 3.3 yards per carry throughout the season. They're not very productive. But not being stressed and playing terrible is 2 different things. And Oklahoma was able to not play terrible today. They were not stressed, but they played good. The linebackers were good in support, not elite, not great in pass coverage for sure. But yeah, they shut down the run game. They forced Hunter Deckers into throwing the football into windows that weren't there, and that's why you saw the 3 interceptions.
Also, 4-man front, they generate some pressure. What do you know?
Hey, look at that.
Weird how that works. Actually, their worst moments is when they tried to go back to that 3-man front and put Billy Bowman back on the field. That was OU was trying to play some panic defense at the end of the first half, and there were a couple of those long plays. I was like, what are you doing? You're generating pressure. Getting sacks? Not really. I think they finished with 1 that Jordan Kelly
got one,
torn through, but that's what we talked about at the Kansas game. It's not perfect, but generating pressure is a lot better than what you saw against TCU and Texas, and it'll be something to build on as Oklahoma prepares for Baylor next weekend.
And good to have Bowman back as well, obviously. That was pretty huge.
Just to have him be active, get his feet wet even a little bit is nice going down here into the stretch run, which, like we talked about many times, all these games are winnable. They're all losable. I think we left this game feeling like Iowa State, they're not very good. But we got to be fair here. Oklahoma was a 1-point favorite, 1.5, depending on when you got it, on the road. We all kind of felt like, we all picked OU to win on AllSooners.com. We all felt like this game, it was close to a coin flip. And Oklahoma pretty much dominated it. They could have won by a lot more than they did. So you give them credit for that. And now you look forward. 4 games left in a Big 12 that at one point we thought everybody might be good. Now we're kind of wondering who's good. It got kind of ugly and sideways on us all of a sudden. They have Baylor at home next week. Now you're looking at Oklahoma's schedule saying, okay, I can see them maybe racking up some wins here.
Well, they're 5-3 now. They're 1 win from a bowl game.
Bowl, guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed rate bowl is on the table. Now, listen, this is one game at a time. I know, fans don't want to hear that. Fans want to plan for a championship run and undefeated, stretch run, 6 games in a row, all that stuff. That's what fans want. Probably not going to happen that way. Might not unfold that way, but it might. We saw some signs today, again, with complimentary football. Good play calling, creative, risk-taking. That was one of the things I said in my keys, that Brent Venables is going to have to be bold against a defense like this. You got to be bold. You got to take chances. You might have to run a fake field goal. And they did, and it worked because they repped it in practice over and over and over and over and over again. Zach Schmidt said they ran it 1,000,000 times. So that's something that moving forward, you see a little confidence starting to build in this team. 2-game winning streak. It's not a huge thing, but it's better than where they were, which was a 3-game losing streak.
Improved performance, but I don't think we'll see a championship November graphic on Thursday.
Nope.
That's a thing of the past, I think, in these here parts.
What if they go undefeated in November, though?
Then you can bring it back.
No, it's not championship. No, it's guaranteed rate November.
Maybe they'll do better than that. Who knows? We'll see how it ends up. But like Brent Venables said, and he said a couple times in postgame today, he feels like they're getting better, and I concur. I think they are getting better. I think,
see the scores from around the
especially
Big 12.
defensively.
This could be a 9-3 team. I'm not kidding. You see the scores today from around the Big 12. Oklahoma State.
What happened? What happened to the Pokes? Holy moly!
Yep.
Baylor looks like we don't know what they are. As we record this, the Butt Bowl hasn't kicked off yet.
Yep.
But it went from the schedule's daunting to in one day kind of like maybe none of those teams are that good. So we'll see how it happens the rest of the way. But Oklahoma is 5-3. They have won 2 in a row. They are 1 win away from getting to bowl eligibility, which is a very good thing. Don't have to play around with that. And Oklahoma's going to have 4 cracks to get there. So we'll see what happens. Back home for Baylor next week. AllSooners.com, the place to be. There is loads there for you. Full post-game reaction from Brent Venables, Jeff Levy, Ted Roof, bunch of players. Zach Schmidt, who was electric in post-game day. You know he's feeling good.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. Michael Turk threw a touchdown pass today. It was wild. It was a wild day
Run
today.
like the wind, Schmidt said. That's
Run
what
like the wind.
Run like the wind.
He probably could have had one against Texas if
We
like
saw
one
his
more block
photo.
was picked up.
He had a Heisman pose as he's going into the end zone. It was incredible.
If like one more block is picked up, he might have been able to house it against Texas. Didn't happen. Got redemption today. Got a chance to punch in. That was really, really cool. So we'll see what happens. But that's all there for you on AllSooners.com. Reaction from all those guys. Game stories from these two. Game highlights from yours truly. And, of course, more coming. Unfortunate news for the podcast. We're going to be doing just audio only because we're going to have to do it in the car. We're getting chased out here in Ames. So we're going to do car only. So it'll be audio only. Catch that wherever podcasts are found. But again, thank you so much for tuning in on the YouTube page as well whenever you can. So that's it for now. For Ryan Chapman and John Hoover, I'm Josh Callaway. We'll catch you back in Norman getting ready for the Baylor game this week. That's it for now. We'll see you then.